Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Johnny Torch Live. This is the 19th edition of the live Johnny Torch broadcast. I should put up a poll and see what you guys prefer. Should I call it Johnny Torch Live, the Johnny Torch broadcast, the Johnny Torch program, the Johnny Torch show? There's just so many ways I could refer to it. All right, but here we are back again, and this is also our big 60th edition of the Torch News Roundup. Yes, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of it dealing in rumor, really, because not a big news week. Also, pleased to announce the return of This Week in Comic Book Television, our favorite edition that we bring into the live shows every season of comic book television. Very brief this week. I don't know if I'll be able to do a Torch News Roundup and This Week in Comic Book Television once the underway. All we have to review here is the season premiere of Gotham, which I liked, if you want the long and short of it, but we'll get to that in the second half of the program. But yeah, just think of the heavy slate we have. We've got the 4 CW shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we've got Inhumans, we've got The Gifted. We also have, I don't know exactly when they premiere next season, but Black Lightning, Cloak and Dagger, I believe The Runaways. Oh, this is going to be a heavy workload to try to review all of them. And of course, we also have Riverdale, which technically still counts as a comic book show. I still watch it. Legion Season 2, I believe that's going to be out sometime early next year in the TV season, second half. So it's going to be quite a challenge, try to keep up with them all, and I make no promises, but it's pretty sure bet that I'm going to review all the CW shows, all the CW superhero shows, I guess I should say. Maybe not Riverdale. I might drop that once in a while. Definitely going to always review Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Inhumans. Probably always going to review Gotham. It depends how bad it gets. I've stuck through with it through the baddest of the bad seasons. So at least I think last season, going into this season. So we'll get to that in a moment. But first off, I'm going to take the opportunity here. I didn't get a chance to do Johnny's NFL football picks of the week this week. We're still in the middle. It's a nice Sunday afternoon here in New England. Well, evening now, since it's about 6:30. And the games are still underway, but to give a brief update of my picks for this week. Last week, I had a 12-3 record. No, that was 2 weeks ago. Last week was a 10-6 record, so I'm still not doing too bad in averages. Adds up to a 22-9 record for this season. All right, let's see. You're going to have to take my word on this, I guess, because I didn't do this in time. I did I was working on my next video for the Halloween season, and that's the reason why I couldn't get to this last night when I was supposed to. But I'm pleased to say that after all the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, I actually did get through with that first Halloween review using a new updated version of Windows Movie Maker, which really isn't that great. I'm still going to probably look at my options to see what I can do. I'm not going to tell you what the movie I reviewed is. You're going to have to wait. This is the first time I've ever scheduled a review to appear on YouTube on a certain date. It's going to appear October 1st. If you can't wait, circle that date and you'll find out what it is. As soon as midnight strikes, you'll find out. I'm not going to tell you the movie, but I will say that this is the first time I ever scheduled one because I'm always impatient. Every time I get done with something that I work on really hard, I want to show it as soon as possible. So this is really a tough one for me. All right, but I digress here. Let me just get to these picks fast and we'll get into the Torch News Roundup. Okay, this is Johnny's NFL football picks of the week for week 3 in the NFL. All right, let's see. I took the Rams over the 49ers, the Ravens over the Jags, and they lost. I took the Broncos over the Bills, and they lost. I took the Panthers over the Saints, and they lost. So it didn't look too good this early opening portion of the day. I took the Steelers over the Bears, and they lost. So you know I'm not hedging my bets here. I'm not fudging these games to make myself look better because everything I picked lost so far. I went with the Falcons over the Lions, and they won. I went with the Colts over the Browns, and they won. I went with the Buccaneers over the Vikings, and the Vikings won, so lost one there. Of course, I went with the Patriots over the Texans, and that was a barn burner. That was a pretty exciting game. Of course, Brady came through again. I took the Dolphins over the Jets, and the Jets won, and I took the Eagles over the Giants, and the Eagles won. Not not a great run of the early games. For the later games, I've got the Seahawks over the Titans, the Packers over the Bengals, the Chiefs over the Chargers, the Raiders over the Redskins, and the Cowboys over the Cardinals. So we will see next week if my streak is snapped of having more wins than losses. All right, once again, I don't know. I only get a handful of viewers as it is. Maybe I should make a separate video for my NFL segment, but that's my picks for Week 3 in the NFL on Johnny's NFL Football Picks of the Week. All right, let us move now to the Torch News Roundup portion. All right, first off, I have to I've got a new poll up, and that's going to tie directly to the Football Picks of the Week. I mean, it's going to tie directly. See, I do too many shows in one show. I've got the Johnny Torch Live, I got the Torches News Roundup, I've got Johnny's NFL Football Picks of the Week, and I've got I've got the This Week in Comic Book Television. I don't know. Something's going to have to go, I think. But let's take a look at the poll of the week because that's going to tie into our first subject on the Torch News Roundup. All right, this was my most successful poll, I have to say, out of all the polls I've run so far in Poll of the Week on my Twitter page. Votes overall. And the question was, which TV show are you most looking forward to in the coming season, Part 2? In last place, with a very poor showing, I was kind of surprised, but Gotham took 4th place with only 9% of the vote. In 3rd place, this was a hotly contested battle between two of them, but the Inhumans finally settled in on the 3rd place spot with 21% of the vote. They were vying for 1st place for a while there, but they fell down a couple of notches here. In second place with 22% of the vote, The Gifted, Fox's show that is going to be premiering. Is it next week or the week after? I think it's the week after. I'm not sure. And in 1st place with 48% of the vote, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This will be their big 5th season. I wonder if Ghost Rider is coming back. I haven't heard anything except for we talked about a couple weeks ago. Hunter is coming back to the show for a couple of episodes. Or an episode. I don't even know. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, got a strong showing here. So hopefully it's going to do well enough to return for a 6th season because I really enjoy the show. All right, now, this week's Poll of the Week question is, if Matthew Vaughn could only direct in one other comic book franchise, which should it be? X-Men, Fantastic Four, or Man of Steel 2? All right, so go to my Twitter page. It's in the description below. You'll find the link. Vote in that poll and let me know who you think, or what you think, franchise. Let's use the English language properly. Franchise do you think director Matthew Vaughn would be best suited to? I think I know what I would pick. Maybe I'll leave that for next week when we actually run down the results of the poll. This ties in closely to, as I said, our first story. This is not a real big story here, but image up. Matthew Vaughn has said, just 1 week after saying that he is in talks to do a future Man of Steel film, presumably Man of Steel 2, he said, and I quote, "I wouldn't mind maybe making a Fantastic Four film to apologize to everyone out there that maybe it didn't go very well for them. It's brilliant. One of my favorites is the Fantastic Four, so maybe one day I'll try and rectify the mistake." He's, of course, referring to Fan Four Stick, as fans have. That was the most recent iteration of the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four practically in name only. I've never sat through it. I think I had an opportunity, It was on HBO, I think, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. It's probably on broadcast TV by now, on at least cable. Never even had the desire really to sit and watch it. It looks horrible, but what do you think? Should Matthew Vaughn tackle a Fantastic Four movie in the future? Should he be given that chance? Because a Fantastic Four movie made now is still going to belong to Fox, but heaven knows exactly how long it's going to take Fox to relinquish command of the Fantastic Four and give it back to Marvel. Chances are it ain't going to happen in the near future. So the only chance maybe we have to see a decent Fantastic Four movie is if Matt Vaughn steps in Fox Studios and takes it over. Of course, I think you know a lot of people wanted Vaughn to continue on in the X-Men world because, of course, he was the director of the original, not really rebooted, soft rebooted, so to speak, franchise of the X-Men with um, First Class. I don't know, you know, a lot of people are disappointed in Apocalypse, but I didn't really hate that movie. I thought it was pretty good. It was the first subpar like X-Men movie that Bryan Singer did, I think, and that's the reason why it was kind of let down to people. I still liked it though, so I don't know. So yeah, this is what's related to the poll. So let me know what you think in the poll in the comments below on my Twitter page. If you would rather see Matt Vaughn return to the X-Men, get that big chance to do Man of Steel 2, or do a Fantastic Four reboot for Fox. All right, so let's check out and see what our next story is. We're going to this is speaking of Superman, this is a big deal to me. Now, I was really excited to hear this. Like, to their credit, Warner Brothers has been pretty fair in giving the fans what they want when it comes to cuts of the Reeve films, the original Reeve films, at least the first two. As soon as the rights were available after Marlon Brando passed on, they made an effort to get Richard Donner to recut the film using the existing footage that was never used. And that's where we have the Donner cut of Superman 2, which is better, the theatrical or the Donner cut. I always said that it lies in between the two. If they would do the TV version of Superman 2, that's probably really the best cut. You have the best of Donner's material, and you still have the framework that Lester put in, which was a little bit better. He had the opportunity to shoot some action scenes in the Fortress and in Metropolis. A lot of the stuff with Marlon Brando should have been put back in. Of course, they couldn't because of the lawsuit that Brando was at least threatening. So I probably would say if they released the ABC cut from back in the day from ABC television and put the Brando scenes in place of the Lara scenes, it would probably be better. Of course, that's nothing against Lara and the actress, of course, um, Susanna York, who was just great. But I think that it resonated more in the story to have Jor-El be the one to, you know, directly have that conversation with Kal-El. I think it seemed more effective in my view. But let's talk about the actual subject at hand here. As you can see there, Warner Brothers has declared that they are going to put out the extended 3-hour television cut of Superman on Blu-ray. Now, I actually already had this version because I taped it off the television many, 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 many moons ago. But of course, tape is not forever, and it doesn't have the benefits of the technology today to give you a good pristine print. We'll finally have that with the extended cut of Superman. Now, to be totally honest, I think well, see, the best cut is probably the special edition that Donner put together, and he means, the gauntlet scene, which was very nice, which was Superman going through Luthor's lair and the tests, so to speak, that he put him through, the machine guns, the fire and ice. Those things were important that were brought back. Also, the one scene with Brando that was opposite Reeve in the original film. But the rest of this is the 3-hour version. The rest of it is very much padding, to be totally honest. The only thing I like about the 3-hour version better than the special edition is they actually cut the scenes of Miss Tessmacher back into the film. There's 2 scenes with Miss Tessmacher and Luthor that are cut out but are put in the deleted scenes on the special edition, where Luthor is trying to feed her to the lions, and another brief scene where Miss Tessmacher is sort of questioning her affinity for Luthor. Both scenes I thought were good enough to be kept in the cut, and Donner didn't put them back in the special edition. So those are the most important things to see to the film. But the other half hour, pretty much, that is put in that pads it is just longer portions of, for example, I think Kal-El traveling to the fortress is much longer, and you see the he takes to get there. Also, I remember the um the run he has to pass the train faster than a locomotive, and he beats Brad and his friends in the car there, and the car ride seems a lot longer, which makes it all the more impressive when Brad says to him, "How'd you get here so fast?" Well, you've seen the long car ride that they took, and to have Clark already there is obviously you know unheard of. So there's not really too much in the 3-hour version. I don't think that merits you know the layman that would want to buy it. But for those of us diehards that love as much film as we can of the original movie, as much scenes as we can. Also, the scene where Otis is followed is much longer with. Well, not much, but I mean it's longer with the guy following him, the detective following him and stuff. So I mean it's basically just padding. Um, but like I said, I'm excited to see it. I would like to see it in a pristine Blu-ray format. So it's very exciting, and kudos to Warner Brothers for giving this to us when they probably really didn't need to. Especially a lot of footage is probably still laying around there that they probably could put into this and make it even longer, which would be something that I'd be interested in. But I think the DVD, or the Blu-ray, I should say, is going to be packaged with the special edition. So it's basically, get the special edition and get the extended cut, for free, so to speak. That's probably the way they're going to market it to, like I said, the common viewer. Okay, let's move on here. Let me see what I got next. Let's see. Coming up, let's see. All right, we'll stick with this Warner Brothers here for a minute because we also have, well, like I said, there's a lot of rumor stuff going on here that we're going to take care of. Justice League movie. Now, supposedly, there have been a lot of cuts to the existing film before Whedon ever reshot a lot of this. A lot of the original stuff that was meant to be placed in has been cut out, including, according to rumor at least, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, Kersey Clemens, Iris West, who was also to have a cameo, I suppose, and allegedly Darkseid would be revealed at the end of the film, probably in shades of the Doomsday reveal, where he's sort of like the big bad at the end. Apparently, Whedon, and the studio, of course, wanted the movie to end and, leave something for the next time, leave something for the sequel. And so I think this is probably not. I mean, the deletion of Iris and Luthor, I don't think that's going to really affect the film in any way. It's probably just cameos. It's probably just to shorten the length of the runtime. Uh, Again, this film is going to be out very soon now, about 2 months away. So these decisions had to have been thought out in plenty of time, even though we're just hearing the rumors of it now. I suppose they could still recast Chrissy Clemens for Iris? Is that part of the reason why they're cutting her out? It's all speculation. I don't know. We don't know at this point. But let me know, as I said in the comments, what you think about the idea that Steppenwolf is the sole villain of this film, that we don't have Darkseid, and that we're going to gradually build up to Darkseid. Is that a good idea? In my opinion, probably yes. I think you probably want to save Darkseid, because in a sense, what Marvel's doing with Thanos, or Thanos, which is it, Thanos or Thanos? I always say Thanos, to be honest. I think what they're doing with Thanos is kind of counterproductive, though. We keep seeing him in the background getting nothing done and accomplishing nothing, and it doesn't seem like he's the most malicious threat. So it's very difficult for me to think that doing the same thing with Darkseid would be any more successful. Maybe we shouldn't just keep holding him back and holding him back. On the other hand, though, DC/Warners could do it right by showing Darkseid being some kind of malevolent threat from behind the scenes. So far, all we really got from Thanos is the Guardians of the Galaxy, where he had a couple of lines, made some vague threats to uh, the Executioner there. What's his name? Ronan the Accuser. I almost said Kodos the Executioner. Oh, that's Star Trek. But yeah, so I mean, let's build up Darkseid a little bit more, but let's do it right. Let's just not have him sitting on the throne and just making vague threats to people. Let's see him get out there and kick some butt. Then he faces the Justice League. So let's see him doing a little something first. That's all my advice would be. All right, let's move on over here now to, we're going to go back to, we were talking also a bit about earlier, Fox Universe. And we have some rumors there. Go over. All right, this is not so much a rumor. This has pretty much been confirmed, which is kind of disappointing to all involved. Everybody knows that Simon Kinberg, the director of X-Men: The Dark Phoenix, has already come on record saying that it's going to be a grounded take on The Dark Phoenix, which means, again, not a lot of space travel or intergalactic characters. Disappointing to all of us, because a lot of us wanted to see that, especially after The Last Stand, where they already did the Dark Phoenix in a grounded and gritty and, quote unquote, believable way. A lot of us wanted to see the intergalactic version, um, the Shar Empire, Gladiator, Lilandra. So a lot of people naturally gravitated when they saw the casting of um, I always hate this when I forget somebody's name. What is her name again? Of course, I spend so much time making notes, and I'll always forget something. Um, but anyhow, Jessica Chastain. See, it takes a couple of minutes, but I have to get it in. We found out Jessica Chastain is saying on Twitter that she's confirming she's not playing Lilandra. The quote is, although I think the tweet has been deleted, the quote was, "Hey folks, want a scoop? I'm not playing Lilandra." So apparently now Jessica Chastain is not playing Lilandra. Who is she playing? Which is probably going to be some kind of run-of-the-mill Black Ops bureaucrat, and someone that's going to want to try to take, you know, again, I'm blanking on her name. Miss Marvel there. She's gonna want to take Jean Grey away, and it's gonna be another blasé take on the Dark Phoenix, especially after people were so, you know, blasé on the Apocalypse movie. I don't see why they're doing this and trying to make this more grounded. Where does this serve the story to just completely discard yet again for the second time? I don't understand what they're thinking here, and I don't know why they're going through with this if this, in fact, is what they're doing. Of course, just because Chastain's not playing Lilandra doesn't mean somebody else isn't, but uh, all signs point to this is probably not going to be a adaptation to the source material. Also in Fox News, in Fox X-Men news, we have news that Daniel Cudmore, the original Colossus, the original Colossus, Daniel Cudmore, is going to be in Dark Phoenix. Uh, there is no confirmation on what character he's playing, though. Is he playing another character or is he playing Colossus? I personally hope he's playing Colossus. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, he wasn't really the most memorable incarnation of Colossus. There was another incarnation in Deadpool, which, as I said, I've just seen the very end of that movie, so he didn't make a very big impression on me either. But I would like to see Colossus in Dark Phoenix because I think you really want to have all hands on deck for that story. You don't want that story to pass off and say, well, we didn't have Colossus, we didn't have Nightwing, we didn't have Gambit, although I suppose in the original story they didn't have Gambit, so all right, we'll take a pass on Gambit. But I'm thinking of the animated. Gambit was a big um, uh, player as well as Rogue. So I'd like to see all hands on deck in this case, but we don't know if he's playing Colossus. I hope he is. I hope Colossus is in the movie. As far as Cudmore, I think his tweet is quoted as saying, "I can't comment on what character I'm playing. Sorry." Straight from the horse's mouth, we can neither confirm or deny Colossus being in uh, Dark Phoenix. It says Dark Phoenix will be released November 2nd, 2018. So they still got quite a ways to go before this film is released to the public. Okay, and we've got one more trip into the rumor mill. This is a very popular Star Wars rumor that's been going around. Will be appearing in the Han Solo movie. Now, this is a report coming from that hashtag show, which I've never heard of, and a lot of people are saying this might not be that reputable, but since a lot of people are talking about it, I'll give it a couple of minutes here. They said a source close to the production has revealed someone was on the set of the Han Solo movie in Darth Vader's eyes 2 weeks ago. Ron Howard is still conducting reshoots and completing the film. This is kind of problematic to me. On the one hand, I don't really have a problem. A lot of people are like, oh, Darth Vader shouldn't be in the Han Solo movie. No, no, no. If he doesn't meet Han Solo, it's not a problem. I don't think you can have him having scenes with Han Solo. Of course, in The Empire Strikes Back, that's the first time we ever see Han Solo and Darth Vader face to face. It's the only time, really, that movie. He's not face to face with him in Jedi whatsoever, and he just sees him from across the hall in A New Hope. So it's not as if you're going to really ruin any continuity by having them interact, but it kind of makes you wonder why Han wouldn't have mentioned anything about Vader in A New Hope if he had actually had interactions with Vader, because Vader is not someone you're likely to forget or take lightly after you've encountered him. So I don't think they should share the same screen. Having said that, does that mean that Vader can't be in the movie whatsoever? I see, because it seems very much like they're trying to cash cow of Vader. I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of. They want to sort of milk Vader dry and have Vader in every movie. Vader actually should have been in Rogue One, so there was no problem really with him being in Rogue One because the whole revolves around the Death Star, and Vader was a big part of the Death Star's creation and trying to find the spies that were trying to the Death Star. It was understandable. In this case, obviously, there's no real problem. I mean, there's no real reason for him to be in there. It makes it a problem because you have to keep him on the outskirts of the movie. You can't have him interact with pretty much any of the main cast. I mean, I don't think he would be interacting with Lando, as we know Lando's going to be in the film. I don't see him interacting with Chewbacca. Chewbacca obviously is in the film. I don't really see what they would do between them two. So the question is, maybe it's Emilia Clarke's character that's working for Vader that somehow gets her marching orders from Vader early on in the film, and then Vader just sort of goes off and I don't know. I mean, maybe Vader is this is the same period as Rogue One, technically, or maybe a little bit before Rogue One. He's got some other fish to fry that puts him in that sphere. Personally, I like I said, I don't think you put Vader in close proximity to characters. Maybe if he's dealing with something on the Imperial side that justifies a cameo, then that's all they should give us. But also, Ron Howard was on Twitter making some veiled references to the Kessel Run being in the film, which fine by me. I'm all for all this. I said this from the beginning. I'm fine for all the stuff that was in the that were just throwaway lines. Show us the Kessel Run. Show us the Falcon getting lost in the Sabbath game between Lando. Show us everything. I mean, show us the. I'm sure he's forgotten about all that. Show us all of it, just as long as it fits into the movies. As long as you're not changing something, like the whole. There was a rumor or something at some point where Han had a wife, and she would be in the movie or something, and I was like, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. I don't want Han Solo to have a wife. I don't want it, even if it's some kind of a scam or something. Just don't do it. And so let's just hope that, I've got reasonable faith in Ron Howard that he's not going to mess this up something fierce. Because I think, to her credit, Kathleen Kennedy, I think, is trying to keep this from being a disaster. She's trying to keep this from being whatever the previous directors, Lords and Miller, is that who it was? They were trying to make it into more of a slapstick thing. It's probably in best hands with Ron Howard, and I don't think it's going to be something that we're going to have to be worried about that, oh, all of a sudden Vader is going to be interacting with Lando and Han and Chewie and stuff. So let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think Han Solo's early exploits should have Darth Vader involved? Of course, also in Star Wars news, uh, it's official that The Last Jedi has wrapped production. They're no longer filming or I suppose, doing any post work on it now. The film will be due out in a couple of months. So, yeah, that's exciting. Again, I don't like to be a downer on this. I hope that they have a pretty good story there. I hope that Luke Skywalker isn't going to be an embarrassment. I don't want to get into it again. By the way, happy birthday to Mark Hamill, who is going to celebrate a birthday tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Also tomorrow, the birthday of Christopher Reeve. So hats off once again to Christopher Reeve for being, in most people's opinions, the definitive Superman. I mean, let's face it. And happy birthday to Christopher Reeve, and happy birthday to Mark Hamill. Okay, so let us move on now. We've got, oh geez, there's so much news. There's so much news. Well, we were dealing with rumor a little bit there. Here's something a little more. I want to talk about, and I'm sure you've seen it by now. If you haven't, you should. Trailer for the Netflix Punisher series. No one knows when this thing is going to come out. They're teasing us. They didn't put the at the end of the trailer. It says 2017, which means, they've got a couple of months left to do this. I don't know when. I mean, they're planning to make this a Christmas release. A man that has his family slaughtered in front of him and he goes on a one-man killing spree to avenge them all. Sounds like a great holiday classic to me. But let's take a look at the trailer here. Let me see what I thought of the trailer. Now, the trailer opens up with Frank remembering his daughter. He was playing the guitar with his daughter. That's the same one from the famous story from Daredevil Season 2, One Batch, Two Batch, Penny and Dime. I imagine we're going to hear that again at least once more in this. But apparently they're going to flashback his origin, which is good. I've complained ceaselessly that Netflix doesn't give good origins. They don't give good origins out. Like Daredevil, it was very, very superficial. Iron Fist, very, very superficial. Luke Cage, I think they did service to him. They did service by him, but they really don't get deep into the story and give you that hero's journey type quest. They just tell you, oh, this is what happened to him. They'll give you like maybe two flashbacks of like maybe 10 minutes length, and you're supposed to take that as, well, there's your story, there's your origin. But it looks like in this case they're going to go full on with the origin, which I think is a great idea. Um, right from the beginning, very early on, we see Frank with his wife, and Frank's in bed, and his wife gets shot basically right in front of him. So, like Frank, this trailer takes no prisoners, pulls no punches, and give no bleeps. Absolutely none to give. And I think that's probably a dream sequence. I think if they keep to what it looks like they're keeping to, which is the comics, which is the family is slaughtered in a like an amusement park or something. I think at least they should keep to that. Then this is probably just him having a nightmare, and his wife probably didn't get killed like 2 feet in front of him like that. But still, either way, it looks like it's pretty comic. The little sidekick character he has there, which I don't remember his name, that has the van and helps him with the tech and stuff. I remember that mostly from the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon series, where you got to see a lot, surprisingly, of the Punisher. Well, I shouldn't say surprisingly. He was pretty popular in the 90s, and so obviously they capitalized on that in the Spider-Man cartoon to have him guest star several times. Same thing with Blade. Blade was very popular in the 90s, and then all of a sudden he shows up in Amazing Spider-Man. You would think that'd be more of a characters like Iron Man or Captain America and stuff, which, did appear, but they didn't really make, great use of them during the series. But anyhow, we got no look at Jigsaw. It looks like the villain of the piece from this trailer, anyway, is some, I don't know, CIA heavy or something. Um, so I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It looks like it's going to be violent. It looks like it's going to be, bloody. It looks like it's going to be just relentless. So again, I don't know if this is going to be for me because I'm not really a big fan of that kind of violence. I didn't really like it too much in the Defenders, or the Daredevil, I should say, the Daredevil season 2, where Punisher was, a large part of the story. Uh, you know, that's basically all the Punisher is, though. So that's the reason why it's not, it's acceptable in this case to have that level of violence. The Punisher as a character, like I said, doesn't give a bleep people and shoot as many of them as he can, to, you know, bring them to justice in his, outlook on society. And I love John Bernthal. I think he looks great here. He's got that kind of damaged look about him, where, I wouldn't say that, there's something mentally wrong with him or deranged, as much as, he's just in some form of shock. He's got some form of PTSD or something, and you can just tell that. You can read that on his face. And so it's very interesting to see how they're going to, carry this out. For my part, I don't think I've seen any of the Punisher films except the Thomas Jane one. I thought that one was pretty good. Like I said, I'm not a real big Punisher guy. I think Punisher works best when he's opposite a hero of opposite morals, of opposite viewpoints. And that was what made it good between him and Daredevil in season 2, which is why I still say that's my favorite part of Netflix so far, is the Daredevil season 2 portion with Daredevil and Punisher in that first 4 episodes. It was great. And you get to see how other heroes react to his, you know, over the top vigilante antics. But to see just him by himself blowing people away, I don't know. I don't know if that gets old. Um, but on the other hand, that was what I think the problem was with. They overthought it. It was like, All the Punisher is supposed to do is just blow the bad guys away. That's all there is to it, beginning to end. That's it. But with the Thomas Jane movie, he had this long, elaborate plan where he was trying to make, I don't know, John Travolta's best friend think that he was plotting against him, and he made Travolta think that his best friend was cheating on his wife and stuff. I don't know. It was too complex, and they tried to get too cute for their own good. I mean, basically, all you want to see from the Punisher is he picks up a big gun and he blows people away. That's why I said it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's very, I don't want to say simple, but yeah, basically simple. And on the other hand, you try to alter that formula at your own peril because you really don't do service to the character by trying to make him some kind of Machiavellian orchestrator of, you know, huge plots like that. Like, I just didn't feel that was the Punisher. But apart from that, I loved Thomas Jane's performance. He was great. Um, and some of the action scenes in there were very good. Um, I should probably revisit one of these days, but again, very violent, and I don't revisit things like that too often because the violence doesn't really do anything for me. I'm not a big fan of it, but yeah. So check out the Punisher trailer and let me know what you think about the Punisher trailer in the comments. What do you think about the Netflix? Of course, I also wanted to mention we saw Karen Page, who's obviously going to be a part of this. She was also in the Defenders, getting a lot of work. Deborah Ann Wall in the Netflix world. But she's great, and I'd like to see her have a good sized supporting role in this one. All right, so let me just take a second here. We'll take a brief time out, 30 seconds for station identification while I have a sip of the old H2O. Okay. All right, now let's see. Next up, we've got. I didn't know if I really wanted to cover this because this seems more appropriate for a rant video than just sticking it in with the news roundup. But attempt to tackle here this problem before we Gotham review. All right, so I just got the Wonder Woman movie Blu-ray yesterday. Oh no, the DVD. I got the DVD version. That's another thing. I gotta say, I got the DVD version because the Blu-ray and the DVD I think have the exact same extras. And whenever you give me two choices where they're both the same extras, I'm gonna go with the cheaper one. So that's for further reference, you guys over there in Warner's or a studio that puts out DVDs and Blu-rays should put more stuff on one than the other. Although, to be honest with you, I don't understand why, you know, they can't just put the same on both. And then if you like that format, you get that format. But the Blu-ray, to its admittedly, does have one extra deleted scene, which was about Etta Candy. And I personally wasn't going to spend another $7 for a deleted scene of Etta Candy. So, yeah, all right. And so I got the DVD, and yeah, it's great. I saw a lot of the extras. I didn't see all of them yet, but the bloopers and deleted scenes or extended scenes, I guess, were pretty funny and amusing. And the movie is still great. I still love it. But the story what we're really talking about here is this new petition that is making a lot of rounds in the news, which a person named Gianna Collier Pitts. Again, I'm not trying to mispronounce this name. I think that's the name. You can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere else, but she has created a petition to make the producers of the Wonder Woman film, the sequel, to make her bi. Now, this, of course, is always very problematic to me whenever you try to a established character. And of course, I already did the race change video about the folly of race changing. I don't believe in changing an established character in personality or gender or race or anything of that nature. So obviously, this is an offshoot of that. Since I don't believe in changing the race of a character, I obviously don't believe in changing the gender identity or what have you of the character. Now, I'm just going to read a couple of brief portions of this petition and see if you can agree with me here. Now, it starts off with earlier this summer, Warner Brothers released their latest DC Comics franchise film, Wonder Woman, and women young and old finally saw an image of themselves reflected in a superhero on the big screen. WB also raked in a pretty penny with a gross of over 817 million worldwide and counting, ranking the film as the third highest grossing film in the studio's history. Success. It was a success for everyone except the bisexual community. All right, so right off the bat there, you can see what this woman's outlook is. This film made a lot of money. This character is very popular. I want to take it and make it what I want. I want to take it and make it. That's not the way it works. You don't just take a character because it's successful and try to spin it to your own satisfaction. That is not who the Wonder Woman character is. Now, the second paragraph I want to look at here, it says, making Wonder Woman canonically bisexual on the big screen would make her the first openly LGBTQ superhero of any gender from either DC or Marvel Cinematic Universes, and would solidify her place as a true role model for women of all ages and identities. Now, see, this is where you run into the second problem. Now, the second problem is Wonder Woman should be a hero to you no matter what your identity is, no matter whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're a boy, whether you're a girl, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whether you're bi, it shouldn't matter. Wonder Woman should be a hero to you and an inspiration to you because of what she stands for, what she does. You're not supposed to feel like you have to completely identify with her in every sense of being. I mean, she is a demigod, essentially. Are you going to be able to identify with that? I mean, there's a lot of things that you identify with in a character and a lot of things you don't identify with in a character. You can't expect to see all aspects of a character reflect what you want in them. And that's why this stuff is very selfish. Very selfish. And the last one here, the last paragraph that I'm going to read, it says, the Wonder Woman franchise is the embodiment of strength and resilience in a genre that places women as the sidekick more often than the hero. I'm going to take a sidebar here. Not true, because in a lot of cases here, the women are becoming more and more prevalent in these superhero films. But let's get back to this. The bar is already so low when it comes to celebrating women and LGBTQ characters in a positive way, and I'm tired of grasping at straws in an effort to see myself represented. So, here we again, this is just the typical SJW attention getter. We have to change the character that's 70 odd years old because someone from 4% of the country's demographic is feeling underrepresented. This is where I say, just create your own freaking character. Leave these characters that have been established for the better part of a century alone. They already have been established. Now, a lot of people want to say, well, this is made to order because Wonder Woman was brought up on an Amazon island with all women, and this is like the natural thing to do, and this and that. No, it's not, because we've already established both in the movie and in the character's long 70-odd year existence, men. I mean, she digs men. That's all there is to it. She was in love with Steve Trevor, which was in the movie. And not every single, you know, character on that island, not every Amazon probably, you know, has the same outlook. So what I'm trying to say is, if this petition was to show a lesbian Amazon in the movie, all right, I'm sure maybe there are some lesbian Amazons in Themyscira. But this person, I don't remember the name, but this woman is not satisfied to just take another character from the island and just make her openly lesbian. She wants Wonder Woman. And this is what I mean about how it's ridiculous, where, try to create your own character. You can't just glom onto the most popular character and say, I want to take this for myself. That's like me saying, I want to take Batman, and I don't see enough born again Christians represented in superheroes. What do we have? I think we have Nightcrawler. We have, well, I don't know, Daredevil, although he kind of like fools around at the drop of a hat. But let's just admit. I mean, let me say, I want to take Wolverine. I want to make him a born again Christian. I don't want him to go around stabbing people with his knives. I don't want, I want Batman to go around preaching and stuff like that. It just doesn't work that way. You don't take the established character and say, well, I want to put more traits into him that I have in myself because I don't see enough representation of myself in these characters that are so popular. You don't do that. That's selfish. And while I think that, the problem is this person doesn't think there's enough representation, but just look at any of the CW shows. They've gone out of their way to include LGBTQ characters. I mean, you can say, oh, that's not the movies, but I mean, look at Sarah Lance. They've got her as a bi, and quite frankly, that disappoints me because the character is supposed to be bi, and they have made her basically a lesbian. They've made her just basically go after women, and it's been a running joke where she just goes after women after woman and after woman, and they really should go back to the essence of the character, which was she was bi, and you know let's have her represented accurately before you start trying to take a character that is being represented accurately and try to you know change them and completely reconstitute the character as something that it isn't. All right, so that's basically it on that mini rant about this Wonder Woman petition. I'm sure it'll all come to nothing, but it's a lot of the a lot of, like I said, a very vocal minority always seems to kick up a furor over these things. Like, for instance, Captain America. Oh, we should have Captain America and Bucky gay. Forget about the comic history of the characters. Let's just do it because, well, that looks like it'll appeal to him and her and them and the community. Let's just change everything to satisfy them. It doesn't work that way. You owe, especially the creators of these characters, you owe them the diligence of seeing that they're represented correctly. That's like Stan Lee. He even said, and I don't have the quote right in front of me, but when he was asked whether Spider-Man could be gay or whatever, and he said, I don't think you should change a character that exists from what it was originally conceived to be. You want to create a gay character, you create a gay character, but you don't take Spider-Man, who's been around for 50 or 60 years, whatever, and then just decide, oh, I want to change that. That's not the way it works. You gotta be more creative than that and make your own characters. And if there's a lack of representation, then your character should be successful because you're filling a need. You're filling a void that is not existing anywhere else. So again, these people that want to change, and I'm saying these people meaning every different demographic. If you don't think your X demographic is being represented enough, whatever your X demographic should be, go and create a character in that demographic. Go and create a character because obviously if you don't think there's enough representation, you will be filling a void that needs to be filled by creating something that will fill that need for representation. All right, so let's continue on here now. We're going to have to wrap it up pretty soon, but now we've got the uh, edition here, this week's edition of, here, we want to get the image up. This week in comic book television. Oh, yes. The show is coming back, and so we're going to talk about them. Alrighty. All right, Gotham season 4 premiere. This happened Thursday. I think Arrow is switching to Thursdays too now, so I don't know if they're going to be going face to face, head to head over um, airtime. But I probably would think Arrow is going to win that battle. But all right, so this was a pretty amusing season opener. I thought it was pretty funny. You had Penguin handing licenses for crime. You gotta love it. That's Gotham. That's Gotham right there. Um, and Oswald, he looks good. He's got the new hairdo now. He's got like the spiked back look instead of the, like, I don't know, Adam's Family hairdo that he had before. He got the nice suit. I like that suit, but I still would rather rather than later, get him in the top hat. Get him with an umbrella. Get him with a monocle. Come on. I know you can't smoke on public television anymore, so all right, we won't have the cigarette in the holder, but just get the rest of his look down pretty soon. I know he's not that fat either, but of course, you know, this is still early Penguin. I guess he's not going to be that fat until he gets to be middle aged and stuff, and in the future. So I guess I can get with that. But I wish they would start getting some of that character stuff on him soon. All right, so now we have Bruce Wayne in costume. All right, not the Batman costume, but he's in costume, so to speak. And like I said last season, it's way too soon to have Bruce in the costume. But what else are you gonna do? I mean, I don't think you're gonna find people very interested in a show where the protagonist, if you want to call Bruce the protagonist, where he's going off to visit llamas and that's probably a way to do it. But I can tell, I mean, I can understand why they don't want to try to make this like this long journey towards the suit, and they're putting him in a suit when he's like 14 years old already, or I don't know how old he's supposed to be in the show. I think he's supposed to be 15 this year. I don't know. But anyhow, he's got Welling beat by about 7 seasons for the hero getting into the suit as soon as possible. That Welling, he cracks me up. Suit on for love or money. But anyhow, so plenty of firsts for Bruce already in only this first episode. His first disappearance while talking to Gordon. How'd you like that? That was pretty cool, huh? He does the whole "I didn't hear you come in," and then he turns his back for a moment, and then he's gone while he's still talking to him. That's the first of many times. See, that's cute, but the thing is that stuff that's supposed to be done with Batman, and so if you do that too much with Bruce Wayne, then of course you start wondering, how does Gordon not know he's Batman? Of course, in this continuity, they could always make him know that he's Batman, but I personally don't like that when they have him know he's Batman. That doesn't really do it for me. We had the first skylight entrance, which was hilarious. It went completely wrong. He wasn't even trying to break through the skylight, and he goes crashing down. I don't know how that's going to resolve itself. He got arrested, I guess, at the end of that. I hate when they do this. They do this on every superhero television show. Something goes wrong. He lands on his face, and what does he do? The first thing he does when he gets up, takes the mask off. Okay, so you're in a room full of crooks. You got the cops come in, and you're gonna take your mask off. Cops make you take your mask off or something, or maybe the thugs or whatever take your mask off you. But that's what you're gonna do. You're just gonna stand up and take your mask off. I mean, come on. I mean, I know that he's a beginner here, but he can't be that stupid. It was interesting that Bruce and Selina seem to be getting mature in this show. I mean, I don't think it's so much that the actors look much older, but the show seems to be portraying them that way. You can tell that they're like sort of upping the romantic, you know, chemistry between them. They're trying to make it a little more palpable than just well, I don't like you and I don't like you. Now they're starting to get more to that teenage drama type area instead of just the sort of middle school stuff they were doing in the past couple seasons. I don't know. I mean, is it too early to go there? They're going with the bat suit early, so I don't think that's probably too early to go there. One of the things I liked most in this episode was Jim Gordon. How often has it been that Jim Gordon has not done something illegal slash unethical or has been part of a domestic drama? I mean, this is like the first time where we didn't have, the Lee subplot where he's got the whole thing with, Carmine Falcone's. This is the first time we've seen him without a domestic drama. This is the first time in a long time we've seen him not do something illegal or unethical, because the first 2 seasons was all about, you know, he killed Galavan and all kinds of crap and stuff. They really sullied his character. That's why I hated those first 2 seasons. It just the beginning of the first season was all right. He spiraled and it never really. And then see, they always start off strong. I think last season was the only season where Gotham was pretty consistent. And it's not to say that it was a great season last season, but it was consistent. It felt like they weren't run out of steam after the midway point, which most of the first and second season was. It felt like they completely ran out of steam by the halfway point. So, I think they've learned their lesson on how to pace the show and how to, get the show consistently out there without running out of steam. All right, kind of pausing for the motorcycle to go by. Okay. Now, Victor Zsasz, oh, the guy steals a show every time. Just give him his own bleeping show already, please. Give Victor Zsasz a show. He's he's just so funny. I mean, he comes into every situation, and just every situation, and that guy's a riot. He's a real scream. I mean, I hope he's a season regular season and make him, you know, a consistently reappearing presence. We didn't see Barbara Keene back. We didn't see Butch Gilzine / Solomon Grundy. They didn't show up at all, so we got uh, some time before we learn what happened to them. It still feels like they have no clue what to do with Ivy. She turned on the Penguin at the end of the episode, and it felt pretty abrupt because it doesn't seem like there's anything to do with her. She's just always hanging around the background. She needs to have an agenda on her own. They tried to give her one, I think, tentatively last season, just like, but it didn't work out, and it's still the character is still aimless. Now the Penguin's plan really made no sense either. Now he's spending most of his time in the episode denying that he's behind the organized crime in Gotham, and then with like the snap of a finger, he switches his story. All of a sudden now he's agreeing that he is behind the organized crime and everybody should thank him. And now while I see it's in character for Oswald because he's sort of a narcissist like that, and that seemed to be like something he would do, it just seemed a really stupid move because even when you think you have the law enforcement in your pocket, why would you risk telling the media and stuff all that? It didn't make no sense to me. I thought it was pretty dumb. But it's interesting to see where they take Oswald's fear, because he got dosed with a fear toxin. Ed's fate's going to be because he's still in that frozen. I thought that was kind of clever that they had him say that while he was put in like stasis for an illness he had or something. But like I said, if you want to keep Penguin as the owner of the Ice Club Lounge, which I was happy to see the Iceberg Lounge um, in the show, you got to be careful with these things you do. Otherwise, he's just going to be another on the run crook, like you know he was in several of the past seasons. And finally, I like the stuff. I like the stuff with Crane, uh, Jonathan Crane. I thought it was great. You could see the costume in the picture there. The costume looks great. The hallucinations from the toxin look great for our TV budget, especially. That was great. Um, I like the way he embraced his fear. He's terrified of the Scarecrow until finally he becomes the Scarecrow. That was very effective, I thought. So I'm guessing the season finale is bound to have two costume teenagers duking it out on the roof. Well, make it three. I get the feeling Selina will be in full costume before Bruce. Because, I don't know, I get the sense they're not going to wait around with her too long. Now they got her under Tabitha's wing, and she's teaching her the whip and different fighting skills and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna say that this was pretty successful. I liked this opening of the season, the premiere of Gotham. So should I give it a rating? Let me see. I'm gonna give Gotham season 4 premiere 4 stars out of 5. Yeah, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. I usually don't give that big of a rating, but I'm gonna give Gotham season 4 4 stars out of 5. I'm gonna give that. That's like a B minus. That's a B minus. That's pretty good considering Gotham, because I never have given them more than I think 3 stars. But I think they did pretty well all around. I like the characterizations of all of them. Like I said, it gets knocked down a peg because I think some of the Penguins' antics was a little dumb. And also, like I said, I wish they would do something with Ivy. All right, so before we wrap up for the evening, we're going to finish up here. I think next week we have not only Gotham, but Inhumans we're going to tackle. Isn't Inhumans on next week? I'm pretty sure. I got to check that out. Um, Also, Star Trek Discovery is on tonight, the first episode, and they're only going to show us the first episode, and then you have to get CBS, which I'm not going to do. I've paid virtually no attention to this. I don't know anything that's going to be on about the show. All I could tell is there's the guy that played Galavan is going to play, I think, Spock's father. which I really like him, that actor, so that should be good. I think there's a black female captain for the show. Is that what it is? I think, yeah. And I heard and seen Klingons are going to be involved. So again, I honestly, my Star Trek fandom sort of petered out over the course of all the seasons. I mean, I loved the original series, still love the original series. Was, mildly a fan of the Next Generation. I never seen the whole show. I mean, I watched it pretty faithfully for about 3 seasons, and then my interest waned, and I would go back and forth and watch episodes off and on. But that was about it. Again, in a very, I just watched a few episodes of Deep Space Nine, a couple episodes of Voyager, and a couple episodes of Enterprise. I think I've probably seen more episodes of Enterprise than Voyager. Voyager really didn't interest me at all. I don't know why. It wasn't. It didn't have nothing to do with Janeway, really, because I mean, I liked her. Of all the characters in that show, the rest of the characters really didn't interest me that much. I mean, I don't even remember them as the Vulcan guy and then the Doctor and stuff. It didn't really interest me. Enterprise I thought was interesting because it was going back to the early days. We had like the Orions and Andorians. They kind of like try to throw back a little bit to the original type things, but even there, I really lost interest. So, I don't think even if this was a regular syndicated show or something, I probably wouldn't keep that much interest anymore because, I mean, to be honest, I just wish they would give Star Trek Continues a budget, let them go on a roll, let them do their own thing under the banner of Paramount, let Paramount make a few bucks, and you'd have a great, you know, faithful Star Trek original series. But in lieu of that, I guess because I think Star Trek Continues is almost done. I think they've done a new episode. I reviewed one of their episodes. I really should review them all because most of them are good. There was one or two where I was like, but most of them are very good. I would recommend them if you want to see some, fan, um, fan projects. They're very good. Also, yeah, I think they've done a new episode recently, like within the last month that I haven't seen. I should try to see that too when I have the time. Uh, as I said, oh, and of course, I really like the Chris Pine Star Trek movies. They're pretty good. I mean, like I said, not perfect. I don't like the interactions of the cast as well as the originals, of course, but they do well enough that I'm satisfied. So in ways of a channel update, like I said, I've said before, I'm going to be doing these Halloween monster movie reviews. Probably won't have any kind of reviews out. I'll probably still do these live shows every week. I try to get at least one out a week, sometimes two, depending on the time and what I have to talk about. Um, it's a lot easier that way. I've got a lot of learning still to do with this new editing format that I have to do. It's not the easiest thing. I was going over and over having to re-record portions of the dialogue because it seems like with this new live Windows Movie Maker download that I've got, they would cut off the last word of the sentence if I was going to edit something. And I've never had that happen before with the old Movie Maker, so I don't understand why a newer and supposedly better model is going to do that. I thought I was going to have problems with the image editing. The image editing was fine. Not as easy as the YouTube one. But anyway, I'll just keep practicing until I get it down, and hopefully eventually I'll get the hang of it, or maybe I'll find a different editor that'll be more successful for my purposes. All right, so that's it. We've gone over an hour, I believe. Thank you once again for joining me. I don't think anybody was watching live this time. I did try to keep an eye on the comments this time because I forgot last time, and Mr. White Gloves was here, and I missed his comments. So, as I said before, sorry about that, Mr. White Gloves. If anybody wants to leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought of the show. And we'll see you again next time. This is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again